Hard work is actually just creating more fatigue and less results.
Welcome to Fika's Focus. Voices leading change.
The other day, I was lucky enough to go along to Rotorua Boys High School to an event that was called Inspiring the Future, and we were asked to inspire the young kids, year 9 and 10s, into looking at different careers. And at this event, myself and Russ, my mate that came along with us, we both put ourselves down as entrepreneurs. And we had a chance to come and talk to these kids about what we do as entrepreneurs, because actually lots of kids don't know what that means. And actually it is still a little bit strange to me saying that word around what I actually do. But anyway, what happened was we were talking away with a group of kids post the main part of the event, and I stopped on a question, which is something I have regularly pondered, and the question being, when does the hard work actually stop working? So what I'm asking there is, I'm saying, like, if our reliance is just on hard work and hard work to achieve, does that mean we're always going to reach the levels of potential that we've shown at all points? And I started to really ponder that question, and I started asking that back to some of these young men, because they associate success with hard work being a cornerstone. Now, the first thing, let's get this clear. Hard work is always necessary for success. What I'm hypothesizing here is it the cornerstone? Is it the most important part to high levels of success? And actually, my initial answer, based on just my own evidence in my own career and things, is actually no, I don't believe hard work is the necessary cornerstone for any volumes of success. It's a real interesting part to me, because I know my role as coming out of from teaching into principalship was actually built on hard work. So what I was doing is I was running everything I could. I was running the sports, I was running Māori programs, I was running breakfast reading clubs in the morning, I was doing every single coaching part I could in the afternoon. I was running all sorts of different programs through morning tea and lunch, everything I could, and because I had a very big goal of becoming school principal as quick as I could. And actually hard work was what I put it down to as being the real cornerstone of my success in achieving principalship at 26, after 3.5 years of being an actual primary school teacher. It actually started to become apparent to me, but it wasn't just the hard work that was important for my success. It was actually the innovation that was the real levels of success, combined with the hard work. So interestingly, I figured out that me working harder as a principal did not generate greater results. In fact, what my hard work did for me as a leader in that young age was it actually alienated me away from a lot of my team, because they, couldn't keep up. And if you've done any sort of level of work with me, sometimes my intensity is a bit overwhelming in spaces, but they couldn't keep up. And the other side of the coin was, in that sense, because they couldn't keep up, they switched off completely. So hard work wasn't actually the answer for achieving great things in that principalship. It actually came down to a couple of other things, which I'll talk to you later on. There's a real cool conversation with Jeff Bezos, who's obviously the founder of Amazon. And he talks to the fact that he only gets to work at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, of course, that goes against everything that we talk to, which is, well, hang on, aren't founders and big entrepreneurs and of giant billion, multi or $1 trillion capped businesses, don't they work 200 hours a week? And don't they never sleep, they sleep upright and all those sorts of things. And actually his kōrero on that, which you can find on YouTube, is about him actually talking to the fact that he likes to ponder in the morning and take some time to really distill his own thinking, and then do some stuff with his kids, fills his cup, do some stuff with his partner and all that sort of thing. And then he gets in at the time that everyone's ready and aware and ready to make some decisions about what direction they're going, or what the business is about to get into. So a couple of things that I really want to talk to. Now, what I discovered, the first thing is that empowering your people to do great things is actually a real key to success. So that doesn't mean that they work harder than you or you work harder than them. What it actually means is finding out what your people are really, really good at, then giving them as much autonomy around that skill set that they have, and then they get to go and then be like, okay, cool, I'm actually going to lean into that spot. I actually love doing this. I'm great with people. I'm great with building culture. I'm actually really good with creating innovative products. I'm actually awesome at facilitating environments that allow people to do really well and actually be empowered to go out and apply that skill set as much as I can, and then leverage off the success of that in those spaces. I also think a key point for it is intensity and focus. Now, do I agree with it in the spaces they say that New Zealand workers on average and in aggregate are actually not as productive as other nations? I don't know the actual science or the research behind that, but I can tell you right now that part of the key to success is having a high level of intensity and focus at certain points, so that when you sit down to go through things, your intensity and focus is not distracted by social media, by the phone ringing, by having to send text messages, by dawdling over there or doodling on your book over there, but actually staying really, really heavily engaged and keeping up with that. The second part to the intensity and focus space is actually consistently being intense and having consistent focus. That's the key. The consistency piece is a real important part, which I would almost argue it could be the basis of any cornerstone of success. In a past life, I was actually a coach for the sport of weightlifting, a sport that I'm still very passionate about, that I love. And actually the thing that really determined a whole range of individual success, from a Commonwealth Games athlete to a weekend warrior like what I was in a lifting situation, was actually the consistency of training. If you were turning up and consistently putting up weights above your head, if you were consistent with your sleep, if you're consistent with your eating, if you're consistent with your recovery principles, consistently you generally improved and were able to execute that on the platform. I think that's been a real major hallmark of my own in terms of my own career and things like that. I have had a high level of consistency across things, combined with intensity and focus, that has allowed me to continue to create success and successful opportunities for myself and for those that I love and care about, and also for our teams. I also think about the workflow principle. There is that very famous book, Flow, and that obviously has been made famous. Mihaly, I can't pronounce his last name, but it's actually really worth reading, because actually he talks about the principle of flow and what that actually means. And flow is that moment when you get into a groove of work and you start creating all those awesome things, and then you look up at your watch and the time's gone. It's just completely disappeared. Versus being in that clock watching situation and you're just staring up at the clock waiting. And actually this was me when I was a kid at school, especially during SSR, where I used to just sit there checking out the time on the clock and hoping for that to just pass. There was no flow. There was no real focus on what I was doing. And actually that just made it seem like the time was just dragging out for the whole thing. So finding opportunities to really get into flow is an important piece. And where I find flows, I'm consistently up very early. Being up very early allows me to find flow, because actually I'm at peace in my own space. At that time, my family's not awake, so I can go through undisturbed. And I generally go through a window of reading books, and generally in the morning I'm reading something that's got to do with self-development, self-improvement, things like that, and it allows me to diary in peace and create an opportunity for flow, and creating consistency of approach so that I can have or experience more opportunities of flow throughout the week. I also wonder the ability when I'm posing that question of when does hard work stop being effective or stop working, is when you start realising that your hard work is actually just creating more fatigue and less results. Now, of course, any person's going to judge hard work and on results. However, as I said, in the sport of weightlifting, you can work as hard as you want, but it doesn't mean you're going to put those weights above your head. It actually comes down to other aspects of your approach and your execution that really, really allows you to achieve and succeed. So I think in that essence, another piece to the hard working argument is around execution. Lots of people work hard, but lots of people do not execute on things that are outside of their comfort zone that allow them to achieve greater or continued success. And I'm not talking about success in business or financially or whatever that is. If it means success of being a better dad for your children and being a better husband for your wife and being a better friend for your mates, executing on things that you say that you're going to do and say that you want to do is a very, very key part to people's individual success in that space. I think to wrap this up, and as I discuss this and think through this, and I think about my friends that are doing really, really well, those pillars really stand out to me in that sense. The last thing, though, is I also wonder how much people really value fun. Now, we've just been laughing here earlier, and actually I know there's some people sitting in the office right now wondering how I'm going to weave in a certain joke about something, but I'm not going to do it because I just got a dirty look. But what I can tell you is this, is if you're not having fun, if you're not sitting down and laughing and carrying on about certain things and finding ways to make people crack up and cracking yourself up so that you can hold people on a bit of string here because people are worried about what I'm going to say as a joke, then I don't know if you're really going to be achieving as great as you can, because actually the people that you're around, well, I know personally for myself, I do want to have fun. I do want to laugh. I do want to laugh at myself. I do want to laugh at others, especially when they talk about some hilarious things. And I ultimately want to make sure that I end my day knowing that, man, that was just such a fun day and we achieved some great things. Up the waz.